not a game, it's a rich thing.
What's up, y'all? It is Tasha. We are back with another review for Married at First Sight. This is season 15, episode 7, y'all. Thank you so much for stopping into my channel. If you are new here, welcome. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button before you get out of here today. If you are not new, welcome back. Y'all know how we get down on this channel. We're going to talk about the episode, and I need y'all to drop down in the comments so we can really have the discussion to see if we're on the same page, if we understand things, and say, what the heck is really going on with these couples. Okay, let's jump into the episode, because honestly it was a little bit of a filler episode, and we still gonna talk about it, but I wasn't really excited about it. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So it's now day 8 of marriage, and all the couples are headed to the airport to head back home. Mitch tells us he's thankful to have Kristen by his side, and this is one of the many instances in this episode with the two of them, and I'm like, what? Since when did this relationship start being on the up and up? Did I miss an episode? What's happening? So they land back in San Diego, and all the couples get to the Mavs apartment, and definitely Mavs has upgraded this season. These apartments look probably the best I've ever seen. Maybe it's just because they're in San Diego. I don't know what it is, but they look nice. So Sasha and Nate, they in their apartment, they get in a little small tub together. They realize they only have one sink, which is an issue. They then lay on the bed in their outside clothes. Ew. He then says, you know, I like it when she laughs because that means she's happy and excited. Well, that's usually what people do when they're happy or excited, Nate. They laugh. It's not a new phenomenon here, okay? They talk about how, you know, he may be tired coming home from the gym and then may sometimes lay in the bed of his gym clothes. And the first thing that came to mind was, all right, Bow Jr., what are we talking about here of just jumping in the bed with stinky clothes on? Okay, that's not what we do. So Morgan and Beautiful Teeth Ben, they then talk about their differences and how they keep their apartments. And he talks about what she needs to do after 4 o'clock, like don't do no laundry. You need to start unplugging the things. We don't turn on any lights until after 6 p.m. Ben, stop acting like somebody's grandma and cut it out with the rules, okay? We can pay a little bit extra on the light bill now that you got another income in the house, okay? Cut it out. So Mitch and Kristen talk about how nice the apartment is, and then we see a condom fall on the floor from out of his pocket, and he says he happened to take some from the honeymoon suite. But Mitch, if you aren't attracted to her, why do you need condoms still? I'm confused. Okay. So, of course, Kristen says she's optimistic and says she is excited about their journey because, you know, if everything was just perfect and going well, that would also kind of like, you know, be a red flag. And I'm just, you know, that's just, I'm happy that we kind of have some things that are going on that we have to, you know, work on. Sure, you are excited, Kristen, because everybody says I want struggle love. That's the goal of all of us, is to have to struggle to get the affection and attention of the person that we are married to. Get out of my face with this, girl. Then Mitch says he's so happy he isn't feeling like he was last week, and it's just so different now, and he's just so happy and comfortable. So what changed? And the only thing I can think about that changed is him knowing that if she doesn't get the goods or he doesn't say I love you, she's not staying married on decision day. That's the only thing I think is different. And that's why Mitch is acting like this now. So Jessa and Alexis, they talk about their concerns living together. He doesn't have any concerns right now. They talk about bringing their dogs to the apartment, which we know is complete foreshadowing because the dog's going to get into it, okay? So Lindy and Miguel talk about their cats because she has one, and then he messes with her and is like, I'm kind of allergic. She's like, well, what do you take for it? He's like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not allergic. Miguel says they have to be honest that decision day is going to come, and she says decision day is a trigger for her. And I'm like, well, Lindy girl, it's a real thing. Decision day has been around since season 1, episode 1 of this series. Decision day is a thing. I'm not sure if it's such a trigger for you why you would come on a show that has a decision day of where you can get divorced or stay married, girl. I don't understand. She says it stresses her to bring it up. He says he brings it up intentionally because he wants to be realistic on what they both want going forward. She's, of course, freaking out, and again, this decision day is a real thing, Lindy. Like, Most people don't come into this, of course, to get divorced, but decision day exists for a reason, so that you can figure out after living with this stranger for a few weeks if you want to stay married or get a divorce, Lindy. It doesn't matter that's a trigger for you. It's a real thing. It doesn't just disappear because you don't like it, okay? Day 9 of marriage, Stasha is waking up and complaining about Nate leaving the toilet seat up. Lindy just found out that she snores from Miguel. And now it's time for them to go to all their individual apartments. So Alexis is up first, and Justin is overwhelmed by the amount of clothes in her closet, but she has some pretty dope paintings. She shows that she actually sanitizes her doggy's paws. She shows little glasses that she has for him. And she actually doesn't like for him to be called a dog because he is her baby. But he's still a dog, Alexis. I totally understand it. But he's still a dog. All right. Nate goes to Stasha's house and he's excited about everything like he has never been to a nice house before. Y'all, I've tried to get past it all these other 6 episodes, but I cannot any longer. I want him to cut these 2 funky braids out of his hair and grow up. Like, who wears their hair like this? Besides maybe some high school kids. Sir, shave it off. It's not cute. Okay. They talk about her buying a $700 espresso machine versus her buying coffee every day, y'all. I don't care because it's petty at this point. He ends up calling her a diva. Let's move on from the 2 of them. Mitch then takes Kristen to his apartments that he needs to clean up. Obviously, this man, I'm like, you knew eventually the cameras were going to come here. If you've ever seen this show, you know what happens. And you did not think that you needed to clean up. That tells me that this place has probably seen even nastier conditions than we see it being in right now. That is gross, Mitch. That is disgusting. Kristen says she is not going to be able to ever go back there again. And I said, same, sis, same. So camera crew, we don't mind if you don't ever take us back there ever again in life. Next, Lindy goes to Miguel's apartment. She turns on her very high-pitched and annoying voice that she usually does. She's pretty dramatic about everything that she's running into the apartment. She looks into the refrigerator and she's like, what is this? Miguel says it's bacon grease. I said, bacon grease, Miguel? Is you black? Bacon grease. Okay, I see you. You know how to season your food a little bit, Miguel. Okay. He finally introduces the Dungeons and Dragons to her because he has the books that goes along with the ridiculous bear costume. She, of course, laughs it off like she always does. Miguel says that the connection he has with her usually takes months or years for him to foster, but he's done it after only 1 week. And again, I'm so confused with these 2. Where did this deep connection come from? Did we miss an episode? Like, I know I didn't do a full out review last week, but I still watched the episode and I'm just not sure how we have made so much progress in some of these couples between last week and this week. I am a bit confused, y'all. So Ben goes to Morgan's place. They talk longer than necessary about her cat. Very, very boring. Next up is Kristen's place, and we see her dog Luna, who breathes very heavily, snores, and has asthma. Cha. So they basically can stand in one spot to her entire department. They can stand in one spot and tour her entire apartment. And then again, they lay on bed with outside clothes on and shoes on. Whatever, y'all. Is this not a thing? Let me know if this is not a thing, but it's a thing for me not to lay on my bed in the clothes I've been outside in. That's no, thank you. So Stasha then gets to see Nate's place and she thinks that he is trying to impress her because, you know, she's just such a clean freak and she thinks it's so cute. She then starts picking at things in his apartment. Dirty towels on the floor, dead plant, empty cleaning supply bottles. And then she starts going through his pantry and cabinets and actually, you know, throwing out some of the things that he has in there. Stasha, fall back. The OCD of it all, I'm going to need you to calm down. This isn't actually the shared space for the 2 of you. This is his space. So if he wants to have these things, how he has his things, leave it alone. You don't have to live there, girl. Just leave it be. So Justin shows Alexis his place, and Alexis has to tell us again that, you know, I'm just waiting for the hard part of marriage. Everybody says marriage is just so hard, and I'm just waiting because it's just been easy. Because it's been 8 days, Alexis. That's why it's been easy. And you've known this man for the same amount of time you've been married. That's why it's been easy. I'm going to need you to stop it, okay? Stop, because you keep saying it over and over again. So I figured that Justin must live next door to Kristen, because you can stand in one spot in his apartment as well and take a tour of the entire thing all at the same time. They gather his dog, his cat. They head out the door. The couples then return to their Mav's apartment and start to combine their things. Alexis and Justin bring home all their fur babies, and Justin's dog clearly ain't feeling Alexis' dog, Mr. Newton, okay? Every time the dog gets near her, she starts to growl, showing her teeth. And then eventually his dog snaps at her dog, and Justin is sitting there looking like, what happened? No, he's fine. He's fine. While Alexis picks up little poor Mr. Newton, and his eye is starting to bleed. I'm like, Justin, you knew your dog got a hold of Mr. Newton. Why you gonna act like you didn't know what happened? Okay, so of course we know Justin is darn near about to break down in tears. Alexis has to call around a few vets so that she can actually take the dog in to see actually what happened to him. And I'm like, so Alexis, is this hard enough for you now? Is this a piece of the hard part of marriage that you wanted to experience? Here you go, girl. So next up, Stasha and Nate get a visit from Pastor Cal. And I'm just not even looking forward to these conversations with Pascal, because it's just the same thing every season, and he gets on my nerves more often than not. But here we are, y'all. So first thing he says is that Stasha and Nate look good together. Surprise, surprise. Pascal is always about the looks of it all. The aesthetics of the couple is what he prides himself on. He asks about the goal of their marriage, and Nate says to be on the same page, to be a power couple, and to be resourceful. She says to be financially free and build generational wealth. She says his salary is workable and his salary exceeds the amount that she requested. Nate says he envisioned a king and queen as they watch over their throne. If I have to hear Nate give one more analogy about power couple, king, queen, castle, I don't care what it is. I'm over it, because at this point, I've come to the resolution that he wants the ideals of a marriage and what it looks like, but not necessarily a wife. Just my opinion. So he says that he makes $150,000 annually, but he wants to be able to make $250,000 annually before he wants to have children. She says her salary as well, and I'm like, Stasha girl, I ain't mad at you. She says she makes $415,000. I'm like, damn, Stasha, I ain't mad at you, girl. Make your coin, okay? And you know, the minute she said that, Nate was like, cha-ching, I ain't going nowhere. You need me to sign that posting up right now? Because I'm going to make this thing work. Baby, I am fine with being the sugar baby, okay? I will play that role gladly, all right? But I wonder at this point why MAFs decided to share their salary, because they never get that personal with a couple. And I'll have more thoughts on that as we get further into the episode. So, of course, Pastor Cal asks about intimacy, and she wants to wait until she's in love with him. He asks how open she has been, and Nate says she's been pretty transparent, but Stasha really wants to see more of his soul. Y'all know how it is. Be transparent. Be vulnerable. That's all they say the whole time in these freaking episodes, okay? But I understand that this has been an accelerated process, but Pastor Cal constantly gets on my nerves every season, acting like everything needs to operate in the fast forward. Everything does not need to operate in the fast forward. Okay, Pastor Cal? So can we stop? Back to Alexis and little Newton. He now has a little cone on his head as his eye starts to heal. And they decided to send Justin's dog away to get trained for the next 2 weeks. Alexis basically said, it is your dog or me. And Justin said, it is going to be you. And I'll do what I got to do to the dog. So they show footage from the night before. And Alexis said, you know, that she was afraid of Justin's dog as well, because she wasn't sure if he would bite her, which is understandable, because you just don't know the temperament of dogs. Sometimes there's always a situation where it's like, oh, he won't hurt anybody, and then that be the same dog ready to bite your leg off. So you just never know what happened. But when they show Justin dropping the dog off to the training place, this don't look legit. This look like some dog compound that he has dropped his precious dog off to. And now I'm side-eyeing you, Justin, for being so willing to drop your dog off that you've had since she was 5 weeks old to this sketchy place. What kind of fur daddy are you, sir? And this man actually says if it doesn't work, he told Alexis he will get rid of his dog permanently. As emotional as you are, Justin, you telling me you sitting here ready to give up your complete dog over this lady that you've known less than 2 weeks. Child, if you do this, he will hold it against Alexis for the rest of their life. Please don't make this man do this, okay? We then see Miguel come home with flowers for Lindy. They cook dinner. And is it just me, or does it always seem like Lindy has this nervous laugh all the time? Like she does this annoying nervous laugh to every single thing, even when absolutely nothing is funny. Girl, grow up, okay? Miguel continues to act like he needs to basically test this girl, like he is a prize that she is winning, whatever. And Lindy thinks after a few days, he's basically changed so much. And now that they've renamed Decision Day to Vow Renewal Day, that just calms her down and just makes her feel so much more relaxed and doesn't give her anxiety. Well, girl, it's still Decision Day. I don't care what you call it. You can call an apple or orange, but it is still an apple at the end of the day. So she says she never has to guess what he thinks, and he is transparent, and she absolutely loves it. And I'm like, yeah, right, Lindy, until your freaking feelings are hurt, and then you go into a freaking panic attack. You can't even take this man saying the words Decision Day, but yet you love it when he's transparent. Pastor Cal then visits Ben and Morgan. He asks what marriage looks like for them and talks about the challenges that they experienced on their honeymoon, about the lie. She brings up that she needs, one more class for her BSN, and says that, Ben told Justin, and then Justin got upset. And then when she said that, I was like, when did Justin get upset about her needing one more class? Who said that in my Portia voice? Girl, what? When did that happen? Pastor Cal says they need to learn to put their spouses first, which I do agree. But Pastor Cal, also, why didn't you lay into Lindy a little bit how she tried to flip the script on Ben, breaking her trust as if she didn't lie first? If she had never said that she already had her bachelor's degree, we wouldn't even be in this situation at all. But you did not even call her out on her lie. She says she's learning to trust Ben because, usually if this happened in a relationship, she would be gone once they break her trust. And again, Morgan, you broke his trust first by not being completely honest from the get-go. So how are you more upset at him than you are upset at your own behavior, ma'am? I'm confused. She basically says it all stems from her relationship with her dad growing up. And y'all, I don't want this to sound insensitive, but I completely rolled my eyes to it because I'm over it. I am over people using how they grew up, the things they've gone through as triggers for their current behavior. If you have recognized this as being a trigger for you, I'm going to need you to go through therapy and work that out and not continue to use this as an excuse for your behavior. Go to therapy. Work it out, know how to then properly resolve these things when these triggers do arise, because that's not saying the trigger may not still arise, but how you react to the trigger should be different once you have the tools in your pocket to be able to handle these situations differently than you have in the past. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. So he asks about intimacy, and they said it was all good until the whole incident. And she says if she can't trust him emotionally, how can she trust him with her body? They all agree that, he has been released from her judgment, and now they're okay to cuddle again, and she'll let down her walls. Back to Stasha and Nate, they talk about him opening up because she feels like she shares a lot, but he stays surface. And again, I feel like we keep getting recycled couples, because this immediately gave me Michael and Jasmina vibes, how she just continued to pressure him to talk about his past and all these, really hard things for him. Stop pressuring people to talk about things they're not ready to talk about. It's only been 8 or 9 days. I'm going to need y'all to chill. Just because you are ready to open up and bare your soul from everything you've ever gone through in your life does not mean your partner feels the exact same way, sis. Y'all getting on my nerves. So we then see Kristen and Mitch. They talk over dinner and they say that things are going easy. She says that Mitch has been great. She really loves going to bed next to him and waking up next to him. Can somebody please drop down in the comments and let me know when the tide turned for these two people? Because I clearly missed it. I missed the boat on this one. He says he doesn't think he's ever been in love when she asks him. And she says, of course, she jumps head first and falls in love very easily. So we already see where this is going. She will fall in love with him. He will break her heart. Let's move on. She then gives him a card, and these cards have the card has the most thoughtful and kindful things. She says that he's the most thoughtful and kind person she's ever met, and all this other stuff. And then she gives him a jar of coupons, and it's all sexual type coupons. And in my opinion, she's just trying really hard to win him over for whatever reason. I'm not quite grasping, but she is really working overtime to get him to have sex with her. And I think that's because she has now issued this ultimatum of either have sex or say I love you, or I'm saying no on decision day. And she really don't want to say no on decision day. So at least she's going to check this box so that she doesn't have to use this as her out to say no on decision day. She says basically he has shown her everything she needs to see, and he cashes in his coupon for a bubble bath because she made sure she stated that expires tonight. You looking real thirsty, pick me right now. Like, Kristen, girl, I don't know how to feel about you. So Pastor Cal then goes to talk to Lindy and Miguel, and she wants to see the realness of a conflict and how they will resolve it. Pastor Cal is like, calm down, it will come. She says Miguel has made it easy, but she was ready basically for anything in this situation, to not be attracted to the person, them not be attracted to her, whatever. Miguel now all of a sudden says he isn't worried about the 8 weeks, and they have, of course, rebranded decision day. Miguel, stop lying. Pastor Cal asks what she needs from him to give her more confidence in the permanence of their situation. She says if it's conflict or he feels he isn't connected to her, she needs him to stay sturdy and not tell her that. I rewound this probably about 3 or 4 times because I said, what sense does that make, and how does that actually resolve conflict? Miguel says he cannot promise he will censor himself because he's been a doormat in the past, and usually when he eventually opens up, it's when he's about to leave. And then, of course, his partner then is like, well, why didn't you tell me this earlier? So that's why he's sharing it now. She says if she says or does something wrong, it puts pressure on her. No, it does not, Lindy. It only puts pressure on you if you are trying to conform yourself into something you are really not in order to please Miguel. In which it looks like that's what you're doing, and that's why you feel so much pressure. She says she doesn't like when he pulls away because it feels like a punishment to her, and he doesn't know if he can really do that. And again, help me understand this request, y'all. Usually when people do pull away, it's because you have done something they don't particularly like. So I'm not sure how you're supposed to fix those things if you then want to ignore those things and not talk about it because they're triggers for you. Lindy, grow up and fix it, okay? Pastor Cal's next visit is Kristen and Mitch, and basically Pastor Cal starts by calling her dog ugly and says it's only a face a mother can love. Shots fired. Mitch says he has to really break down his own walls, and that happened really fast for him. Oh yeah, Mitch? Oh yeah? Okay. They share that they have consummated the marriage, and of course, y'all know Pastor Cal loves it when a couple is getting it in, but yet they are not making any plans past the 8 weeks and really taking things a week at a time. She says she has a fear of him leaving because he doesn't want to feel pressured. So basically what I gather is her and Lindy are essentially walking on eggshells around their husband because they just want their husbands to be happy and conform to whatever they want. I guess, child. He then tells Mitch and Kristen to whisper their salaries in each other's ears because they have not talked about it. And then this is where I question, well, why did Stasha and Nate have to blast their salaries to the whole Lifetime network? Huh? I'm feeling some kind of way about that, okay? They also talk about children, and Mitch wants to have kids in the next couple years. She wants to start in the next year because she really thought she would have one by now. Pastor Cal asked him about saying, I love you. And again, I don't even know why this is the question at this point, Pastor Cal. It has not been 2 weeks. Leave this off the table. So lastly, Pastor Cal goes to visit Alexis and Justin. And of course, there's clearly tension between the two of them because of the dogs. Justin told her he has no concerns, and you can see Alexis is a little bit concerned. And while I understand, Justin also can't predict what the dog is going to do, Alexis. And that's what I said at this point. And then the very next sentence, when we learned that Maya is basically a gangster in these whole streets getting into fights with other dogs, I was like, well, okay, Justin, maybe you should have said something. Even if the other dog started it and Maya finished it, Maya might got a little bit of PTSD. And you probably should have disclosed that to Alexis just so she could keep, Newton maybe in her arms until they warmed up to each other a little bit more. Okay. So he says that he feels like he is being open, but maybe it's him being vague, which he doesn't really realize. And Alexis, on the other hand, is, of course, paying attention to every little thing because now her heart is in it. And at this point, production, you shady as hell, because Newton is a victim in all this, and you did not have to zoom in on his little eye that is stitched up and him having a hard time. You shady for that. I'm not laughing. You shady for that, production. Leave Newton out of it. He had no control over the situation. Okay. So, of course, Justin feels guilty and is crying because he blames himself. Pastor Cal says, I'm glad you went through this because it's a marital test. Pastor Cal, I'm starting to think you toxic. Nobody needs to be glad they went through this situation. Yes, there will be marital tests all along the way, but we didn't want this to be at the expense of Lil Newton's eye, Pastor Cal. But she asks basically of Justin that she wants him to over communicate and overshare things with her. And basically she needs to give him another chance with his dog. And she's like, okay, but we've kind of already come to an understanding that, you would get rid of the dog. And I'm like, Alexis, you really standing 10 toes down in this, that you would want this man to get rid of his dog that he's had since she was a freaking puppy? Alexis, you can't be that selfish, girl. Like, I hear and I understand what you're saying because your dog was hurt. But you really expect this man to just give up his dog. You would not do that. So I don't think it's fair for you to ask him to completely give up his dog from this incident. Girl, cut it out. But anyway, that's how the episode wrapped up. And again, this episode shows me exactly why I feel Pastor Cal can, to the left, he can exit with his things in the box to the left, child. I didn't care for Dr. Viviana all the time either, but y'all can bring her back and get rid of Pastor Cal, because every season he comes in here and I feel like he pressures these couples to have conversations they ain't ready to have, to say I love you and to be intimate. And it's just season after season of this same BS from him. And I'm like, when are we going to learn that this does not work? This whole thing about you trying to get them to move faster than they're comfortable with does not work, Pastor Cal. And honestly, I'm over it. It makes you look like an asshole. I'm sorry. It does. Maybe I'm the only one that feels that way. And if I am, I'm totally okay with it. But anyway, y'all drop down in the comments. Let me know what y'all felt about the episode this week. And then I'll catch y'all next week. Peace.